Hi, my name is Erin Hilton. I'm a senior at Liberty University, and I'm going to talk to you about the issue of climate change. I grew up camping and hiking and enjoying the environment with my family for many years, so I'm pretty passionate about it. I want to share it with you. Every summer from the ages of 1 to 13, my family and I went camping in a place called Beetle, Alabama. It was next to the Elk River. During the weeks of camping, my cousins and I, we would walk to a small gravel bar that was close to a section of the river that had rapids. From there, we would jump into the river and be carried really swiftly away by its strong current. However, as the years passed, we watched the Elk River, those currents get weaker and weaker, and it deteriorates. So that was an effect of climate change. And just like many rivers in the U.S., are subject to it as well. This is a reservoir from the Colorado River. The National Geographic states that the most endangered river in the U.S. is the Colorado River. The river is a water source for over 30 million people. The demand for its resources are outstripping its supply because of the impact of climate change. The water supply is replenished mainly by snowfall and rainfall, but due to climate change, these events are scarce. This is a picture posted by the New York Times in an article titled, "The Future is Drying Up." It shows a 100-foot bathtub ring in one of the many reservoirs fed by the Colorado River. So you can see the white is where the water used to be, and this is where it is now. So that is an example of climate change. That leads me to my first point. The environment supplies humans with basic needs, and those basic needs are critical to our well-being. Ecosystem services are the benefits that are supplied to humans from the environment. Humans use these services on a daily basis, whether personally or globally. To quote the many authors of linking ecosystem services and human well-being to a large measure depends on these services. The services include timber, fuel, food, steady supply of clean water, regulation of pests and disease, and many more. Most likely, you use one of these resources today. Timber, which is used to make pencils and paper. Gasoline, you need fuel for gasoline, which obviously cars need. So if you used a pencil or drove your car today, you used an ecosystem service. And that leads me to my second point. We are excessively participating in activities that cause harm to our Earth. Climate change refers to the harmful changes taking place in the Earth's climate. To summarize the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, natural causes cannot explain these harmful changes in our Earth's climate. However, human activities can. Activities like driving, manufacturing, electricity use, and the clearing of forests contribute to climate change. They do that primarily by releasing billions of tons of carbon dioxide and other heat-trapping gases known as greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. NASA explains that the Earth's atmosphere does what the roof of a greenhouse does. During the day, the Earth's surface collects heat from the sunlight, and at night it cools and it releases the heat back into the atmosphere. But some of that heat is being trapped by the massive amount of greenhouse gases in our atmosphere. You're probably wondering, how does climate change affect you? Well, according to the U.S., I'm going to heavily summarize the impacts of climate change, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. First, it has an impact on your safety. Climate change causes longer and more severe heat waves, which are directly related to extreme weather events such as droughts, floods, and hurricanes. Second, it has an impact on water supply and food sources. Climate change causes changes in patterns of precipitation and stream flow, as we saw with the Colorado River. Therefore, it affects your quality and your quantity of water supplies and your food sources. Lastly, it impacts your health and the health of animals. Climate change has an effect on ecosystem change. When ecosystem changes, the life cycles, the habitats, and the migration patterns of pests, plants, and animals, and the changes in those patterns can ruin the habitats, result in starvation and extinction of a species, and also it can spread a foreign disease to a human population that is not immune to it. And this is, now I'm going to my final point. The solution to climate change is to keep in mind that God values the earth and the human care of the earth. Imagine if someone you love gave you a gift that contained all that you needed and your family needed for a long, happy life with well-being. Would you let someone take it and destroy it? I don't think so, but that's what we as Christians are doing with the earth, because that is a gift from God. In Genesis 1, 27 through 31, God gives humans dominion over the earth. And in Genesis 2:15, God puts man in the Garden of Eden and asks us to work in it and keep it. He commands, in those passages, God offers us dominion and then tells us to work and keep the land healthy and beautiful. So that shows that God values the earth and human care of the earth. So that leads me to my conclusion. There are many things that we can do to help the environment, like recycling, donate or volunteer to environmental conservation groups, turn off the electricity when you're not using it, drink out of reusable containers, and many, many other things. As Christians, we should never pick and choose what values of God are important or what we want to do, because all of them are important, and that's usually what happens. The environment usually takes a back seat to all of the other important issues. Causing climate change can be as simple as turning on your TV and leaving it on all day. So remember, next time you do something like that, always examine your choices, because you're contributing to harming the environment. You may get lazy and feel like your efforts don't mean anything, and that that you're the only person doing it, so what does it matter? But imagine if everybody in the earth felt that way. Nothing would get done. And on that note, I'd like to quote Dr. Seuss. He explains that concept very well. He says, unless someone like you cares a whole lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not.